Joining Ibukwe, the founder of The World Is Your Bowl of Noodles. And thank you guys for just popping into this episode. Before we get into it, please subscribe. It is totally free. You don't have to pay for anything. It's just one click of a button. It helps our organization. It helps us do what we can do. And just thank you so much for being here. Let's get into the episode. Hi guys, welcome back to The World Is Your Bowl of Noodles, Slurp Noodles and Chat. And today we have a very special guest speaking from Canada. Please give it up for Ayana Jaswal, who is absolutely incredible, who is the founder of the Kindness and Smile Zone. She recruited a global team of 25 plus volunteers from 9 different countries, distributed over 250 teddy bears and numerous digital activity packs to children in hospitals, published a novella, Colors of Courage, to raise funds and awareness for a cause, and has been featured on CBS News for our impact on the community. Please give her a round of applause. She's absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait to you guys hear the amazing things she's about to say today. And let's get into the episode. All right, Ayana, I know I introduced you, but do you want to, of course, tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for that great introduction. So, as you know, my name is Ziona Jaswal, and I'm currently a 15-year-old incoming junior in Canada, and I started the Kindness and Smile Zone last year in June of 2025, and our organization is now a youth-led international organization that is all about spreading joy and kindness to especially sick children, but just any child across the globe. We aim to also advocate and educate families and people across the globe about important medical topics, as well as be able to share the stories of chronically ill children to advocate for them, because I've been a chronically ill child myself my entire life. So that is what really drew me into this cause, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. And even in the future, I look forward to continuing the Kindness and Smile Zone, as well as entering the field of healthcare and medical sciences to help create a change for pediatrics across the globe.
That is fabulous. Honestly, your story is so emotional and just very inspirational as well for many young kids who do have chronic illness. You've actually taken that and used it to help create a positive impact in your community and as well help other kids who might have chronic illnesses as well. And I do want to know what led you to start the Kindness and Smile Zone and how has that journey been so far?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, the main reason that I started this is because of my childhood journey being a sick child. So ever since I was born, I've been going through many medical tests, the surgery once I was born, and all of the other medical appointments and things that go on with being sick. So that's one thing that really led me to this, because I experienced firsthand what it is like being in a hospital setting, being in a hospital bed for a long period of time. And I also got to see many other sick children throughout my journey in the hospitals. I luckily have a chronic illness that isn't detrimental that much, in the sense that I'm still able to walk around, go to school, do all the other things that kids do, just with some medical appointments here and there and testings. But I've also seen many children who have made their hospital their second home, and they're there for months on end, even during festive times, and they're much younger than me, battling issues like cancer. That is always so difficult, and they always still keep a smile on their face. And that's something that really surprised me at first, like how they're able to still maintain happiness. And being in the hospital also taught me what it's like going through for a family as well, like for your siblings, for even your teachers, your parents, because I know my parents and my sister have been there for me always, but I know it's not easy being in a hospital setting for them either. So that's another reason that I wanted to start this, because an illness doesn't impact just the child, but impacts the whole family, their whole community, and their peers. And I think that's very important, that especially during these difficult times, being able to show children that there's still happiness, still joy, and still positivity in the world that they can be part of, and that their illness is at the end of the day just going to be a chapter of their life, but not their entire book. And I really wanted to empower other children to know that they can overcome their illness, and they can still achieve many great things in their life and be able to help others as well. Another reason for starting the Kindness and Smile Zone was my dad, because he's been in the medical field for many years now, and he's showed me what it's like making a tangible difference in the lives of others. So through his service to the community as well, and to people that are also going through illnesses, I got to see that being in the medical space is something that is not just education and science. That's one part of it. You need to have the education and knowledge to be able to treat someone. But the other part of it is also emotional care. And through my dad's experiences being in the medical field, as well as through my own personal experiences, I saw that, especially for the future, to build a stronger and more supportive healthcare experience for everyone, I think that's very important for us to pay more attention to the emotional side of things as well when an illness happens. And also just being able to know that having science as well as empathy is how we can create a better future for anyone who may be sick.
Exactly. And with, of course, your family and everyone surrounding you, just helping you grow your initiative and grow what you're doing, it's just beautiful. And that even goes into the next question, because I know it took a lot of steps to even start your initiative. So, but can you describe the steps and actions you took to build the Kindness and Smile Zone initiative?
Yeah, so it definitely has a lot of work behind it, and that's something that I want other youth to realize as well. When they look online and see like big organizations and like kids that are young, impacting so many other children and youth, it's important to realize that there's a lot of steps, a lot of time that goes behind it. And that's something I want other youth to realize as well. Because I truly believe in youth leadership, but I also believe that it's important to have realistic goals, in the sense that you need to know what it takes to do something like this. And I definitely encourage other people to step up as well, especially youth and young people, because we're not just the future generation, but we're also the present. So, how I started the Kindness and Small Zone is I knew I always had this goal of doing something for children, but I never really knew how to do it. And that's why when after I finished grade 9, I was just starting summer, and I was like having a lot of spare time as a result. And I thought that this might be a great chance for me to start something, because I was old enough to kind of know how to use technology and everything. And I'd also had enough life experiences by then that I knew that this is something that's important to me and something that I want to do. So I started it as just a Google site, believe it or not. It was just me sitting one day, and I thought of this idea of, let's try to bring a smile to one sick child. And I thought that a good way to start this would be to create just one activity pack and see where it leads me. So I was just sitting there an afternoon, and I created a Google site and thought of the name, logo, all of that kind of stuff. And then I just posted one activity pack. And I remember it was during the end of June, so Canada Day was coming up. And I thought that Canada Day is a day that people get to spend with their families, but still many children are in the hospital. So I thought, let's create an activity pack on that theme. And I started by posting that online, and I thought that no one was going to watch it. And that was true. No one really saw my activity pack or my website at the start. But I knew that this is something I wanted to continue. So I just started outreaching. I started emailing people, and a lot of times it was just cold emails that went unresponded. But I kept emailing people. I kept sharing it with my friends and family, and just told them the purpose behind what I was trying to do, because obviously it was small then, but I wanted them to realize the purpose behind it and see how we can grow this together. And then from there, slowly the word started spreading. And I remember on that first activity pack that I made, I finally got one response. One kid shared a photo with me of an activity that they made about Canada Day, and it really gave me a second chance, and I decided that yes, this is something that can impact people, and I'm going to continue it. So then over the summer I continued posting more activity packs. It was a lot of just promoting it at first, to be honest, but slowly as I started promoting it more and everything, I started seeing more people look at my work. More family friends were saying, oh, you're doing a great job, you should continue it. And then that's when I realized that obviously doing a youth-led initiative is like this is not something you should do alone. I think it's something that involves many other people alongside you. So I definitely don't take the credit for all of this myself. Yes, I initially started it myself, But after 3-4 months, I decided to recruit volunteers, and I just wanted to see how it'd be like to work with others and see how together we could create a greater impact. And then slowly I started recruiting volunteers online, and luckily a couple of volunteers applied, even though I thought no one was going to. And that again showed me that kindness and doing something for the community is important and something that others want to do as well. So after I started recruiting volunteers, we formed a very small team back then of like around 5 people. But then slowly we started growing it, and they started reaching out to more people, etc. And then we started expanding from just activity packs, because I knew that was one thing that I could do, but I knew that behind being in a medical setting, there's a lot of education that also goes behind it, and just knowing like what's going on can really help. So we started doing webinars, and we started inviting guest speakers, and then from there we branched off into doing monthly webinars and educational blogs and resources online. And then we started collaborating with other organizations, and other organizations started reaching out to us, and now we've partnered with many hospitals across the globe, and we've done also stuffed animal donations. We're doing card making donations, and so far it's been really great. I would say we've also been able to go into the research side of things, because that's really important for the future as well. So we published some research articles. One of them was actually indexed onto ResearchGate, which is an incredible milestone for our team, especially being able to do that at a young age. And then from there we just started expanding slowly, added one more project each time, and it is what it is today.
That's amazing. And just what you're doing, how it's grown so far, is just honestly incredible because, like you said, you started with just yourself. You had an idea, you had a goal, and it took time. Like it wasn't just something that grew overnight. But as you kept going and you were persistent, you started seeing the changes. You started seeing people actually seeing your idea, and like that led to, of course, where you're that this, of course, the small steps lead to bigger changes. And so,
Yeah.
honestly, it's just amazing how we can start with something so small, so like one idea, but then it can lead into something phenomenal. And
Mhm.
I know that with starting your initiative, there were some challenges. So can you just like explain those and how you overcame them?
Yeah, I would say that, especially being a young change maker, I started when I was 14. So being someone who's young also means that there's a lot of things that you don't know. Obviously, there's many new perspectives that you bring, but there's a lot of information, a lot of things that you don't know. And also, you have limited time as part of being in high school, extracurriculars, keeping up with grades, etc. So that's another issue that you faced. And then I would say one of the biggest hurdles for us was just overcoming the skepticism of people, because we weren't a registered nonprofit charity, and we were just some youth trying to run a project. And I think that's what drew a lot of skepticism amongst people. They were like, oh, what are they doing? They're so young. Are they really going to be able to do something big? Or are they really serious about this? Or is this just like a summer passion project? And I knew that it wasn't a summer passion project for me, and it was something I wanted to continue. But I think over time we started overcoming that skepticism, because to overcome skepticism, or to just overcome anything, is to just keep going at it. In my opinion, we just started to keep going at it. It took a lot of emails. I would say like we sent 50 emails, and we hardly received 2 responses, and one of them would be no. So I think that's really important, staying persistent with things, because it took a lot of time. It took many hours. I think that this is another thing to note, that whenever you start an initiative, you'll be having to spend a lot of time behind it, and you'll start seeing the results very slowly and not just right away. It took like a ton of follow-up emails as well to organizations for them to respond, and just creating those connections takes time. Like it took us quite a few months to start building connections with hospitals, and it was also due to us being like a small project that we were doing. But over time it started growing once we started getting the support of others. So I think outreach is very important, but sometimes your age can be seen as a limitation by others. But I see that as an asset, honestly. I think when you're young, you've got so many new, fresh ideas that you can contribute to the community, and you've got a unique voice that needs to be heard. So I think don't see your age as a limitation, even though others might. Show your work, and that'll speak for you, in my opinion. And another thing that we faced as a challenge was funding. That's obviously an issue amongst any nonprofit charity or any initiative. Having funding, having the resources, having the time to do something is that is something that I feel a lot of people face, and that's something we faced and we still continue to face as of today because it's very hard to get funding, especially when you're young and when your project might not be seen as something very big by others. But again, here I would say it just takes time again, and I would say that it was a challenge that we've started to overcome. There's still obviously work that needs to be done, but I think over time we started just asking neighborhoods and people in our community to support us and see what we're doing. And I think a lot of people are open to supporting you once you reach out to them. And even like taking small donations, like we took like little small donations of even like one item per person, but that slowly together becomes something huge. And that's how I think you can get funding as well eventually. So yeah, those were some of the main challenges that we faced.
Hi, I'm back again. But before we get into it, please again subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you guys for coming all the way this far into the episode. It's absolutely amazing. But like again, please subscribe, like, and share it to many people around the world, your friends, your family, because these stories are amazing and they're so impactful. So thank you guys for just watching this far, and thank you again, and let's get into the episode. And subscribe.
And really, like everything you said is basically a lot of people struggle with when starting an initiative. Finding money is like the hardest thing in the world. Like even though
Yeah.
money is everywhere around us, it's so hard to even when you even like even though you know your initiative is something so good that people can benefit from it, people are still so doubtful. They get like skepticism, like doubting you and say, "Are you really like an actual organization?" So it's just like there is a lot of like negatives, but there's so much positives.